Just in case you're a bit confused, this is not the AMD sub $100 PC build that I've been teasing about in past videos. Instead, what I have in this video is a PC that cost around $150 in total, all parts included except for a sound card, which you could probably just find lying around somewhere, although you could pick one up for about $5 or $10 depending on where you look. What makes this PC special, or rather not special at all, is the fact that it's running on a Pentium D830, which is a subpar CPU by today's standards. It features only 2 cores and 2 threads and 2 megabytes of L2 cache. If that alone doesn't seem like a big deal, check out our Cinebench score. Yeah. To be completely honest, I had much bigger plans for this PC, much bigger than a Pentium D. I purchased this Q6600 off of eBay for just over 16 bucks, bragged about it quite a bit on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, do so at SCSTSalazar, and then I ultimately ended up looking like a complete idiot because I did not know up front that the Q6600 was not just by default compatible with every LGA 775 motherboard out there. What a letdown. I presume that because the CPU would fit in the socket, that the computer would just boot up no problems. Learn from my mistake, folks. If you're building an old PC, make sure that the CPU you are using is 100% compatible with the motherboard and doesn't require a BIOS update or anything like that. Because if you need a BIOS update on that motherboard, but you don't have a CPU that's compatible with the motherboard before the BIOS update, you're kind of out of luck because you're not going to be able to update the BIOS without a CPU in there. A few exceptions might be possible. Some of the older workarounds still work, but for the most part, just know your stuff. I didn't know my stuff, so I'm stuck with a Q6600 and no motherboard for it to work with. I ended up finding a Pentium D830 and Dell motherboard combo on eBay for about 40 bucks, and you can find one similar to that price. This guy right here is asking for 50 bucks, and you can probably talk him down to at least 40. I doubt that combo is in high demand anymore. The motherboard is designed for specific Dell XPS towers, and I found one on eBay for about 20 bucks. The one you're looking at here is not the one I purchased, but it was similar to it. It had a bunch of dead parts in it. The CPU was not in there, nor were any hard drives. But that was no big deal. For $20, I'll take it. I purchased the Seagate 500GB 7200 RPM hard drive for $20, just over that actually, and a power supply that was compatible with the tower for also around 20 bucks. Not bad, so $40 for storage and power. I had the tower, I had the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM, and the last thing I was debating on purchasing was a graphics card. Now, for this kind of computer, if you saw my $7 CPU video, if you haven't, you can check it out right here. You know that that CPU pretty much bottlenecked anything that I threw at it, any game, and I was using a GTX 960, which I felt was pretty much the maximum. You won't want to spend any more than that because there's no point. You're not going to get any added performance out of it because the CPU is such a bottleneck. So as a result, what I decided to do was throw in the good old G210, the graphics card that has a total of 16 CUDA cores in it. You can check that out in more detail in the card above me if you haven't already. But yeah, I think it was a perfect fit, and I'll show you why right now. Minecraft is a very finicky game. It's a very CPU intensive game, which is very odd for a game of this caliber, and ultimately we ended up getting around 20 to 30 FPS on the average in this game. Now it was very stuttery. If I was doing anything in the background, including downloading a game from Steam while playing Minecraft, it was completely unplayable. I do not recommend doing anything else while playing games on this PC. In an effort to remedy the situation, I decided to give the computer the benefit of the doubt. I closed Steam, made sure that no other background processes were utilizing the CPU in any significant way, and then turned down a bunch of settings in Minecraft, including everything that was set to fancy down to fast, and then also reduced the rendering chunks from 12 to 6. The result was actually impressive. the game was now seeing around 40 to 50 FPS, a significant improvement from what we were seeing in the earlier scenario. So yes, obviously, under certain conditions this computer will handle Minecraft. You will experience some artifacts, the game's background will not be loading as swiftly as you might like it to. In fact, in some instances in creative mode when I was moving super fast through the air, I ended up being in a space that wasn't rendered yet and it looked very strange. I could actually see down into the ground for a while before the land was actually rendered around me. So you'll experience things like that in a computer this slow and with only 3 gigs of RAM. But for the most part, if that is what you want to do and that's what you're willing to experience, yes, you can play Minecraft on this PC, no problem. But before I get grilled in the comments for only showcasing one game in this video, I mean the title of this video is Can I Play Minecraft, I understand that. I'm going to deviate a little bit from that original question by showcasing a different game, a game that I don't believe is very taxing by today's standards, but I think could be a challenge for this PC in its own right. That game is Left 4 Dead. Now, before I show you the results, pick a FPS range in your head that you expect this computer to experience with this game. I'm curious to see if you overestimate or underestimate, or just get right on the money, what this computer experiences with the game. So without further ado, here it goes. Impressive to say the least. I expected this computer to yield around 15 to 20 FPS, but we were experiencing well over 30 for much of the game. Even when I was surrounded by dozens of zombies, tanks somewhere out there, and fire that was expanding all over the place, my gaming experience was not affected in any significant way. In fact, even when it dipped below 30 FPS, it still looked rather smooth, much smoother than Minecraft did around the same frame rate. So Fraps is a little fishy in this case, but I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this game is not a CPU intensive as Minecraft is. Now, a lot of you are probably thinking, Greg, why are you showing us something so obvious? A $150 computer will struggle to play almost any game even at this resolution. But that's not the point here. The point is sheer curiosity. I want to know how cheap I can go on my computer parts before my gameplay experience is diminished to a point where I don't feel like playing the game on it anymore. So considering the fact that this motherboard CPU combo was about 40 bucks, I would say about $5 for the CPU and maybe 30 to 35 for the motherboard, I'm actually impressed with what we saw in this video. Heck, even the G210 was pulling its own weight. A lot of you were saying that that card was not designed for gameplay. I strongly disagree. You can play plenty of games with this card, even though it's only about $20 currently. Now, this would be the point in the video when I would say something like, do I recommend this, or should you build this? I'm not gonna answer that question because I want you to in the comments below. Now, don't take this out on me. This is just something that I do just for fun, okay? I'm not trying to build the best budget PC, so don't get that confused with this sheer curiosity they have for these parts. Obviously, a Q6600 is going to perform much better than Pentium D. Unfortunately, given the circumstances and my just lack of knowledge at the time, I couldn't use this processor to benchmark with. Nonetheless, this Pentium D did not let me down like I thought it would. This computer, which you could build currently for around $150 if you find the right seller at the right time, will play many games on Steam in lower resolutions, including Minecraft, Left 4 Dead, League of Legends, and Dota 2, and is also perfect for anybody who just types out documents on Microsoft Word or edits PowerPoints or does some accounting in Excel, for example. Not too shabby, XPS 400. Not too shabby. If you like what you saw in this video, give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down if you feel the complete opposite, or if you hate everything about life, be sure to click the subscribe button if you haven't already. Stay tuned for that AMD build that I have been teasing about for quite a while. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you wait much longer. Also stay tuned for the benchmarks of this build behind me, which you can check out in more detail in the card above me. This is Science Studio. Thanks for learning with us.